Ooh, there he is. Got him. Neko bass. Come on up, buddy. A huge one. Oh, there goes my worm. I was just thinking how incredible. I bet I've caught 30 bass on that worm with that crossover band. It's absolutely incredible. There's yet another one. The old Neko-rig, it's just become a staple. You just kind of have to have one tied on. Been catching some on Tokyo rigs, Texas rigs, crankbaits. The school's kind of quieted down, and the next bait I'm gonna throw is a Neko-rig. They just eat it. When there's a tough bite or they're pressured fish, whatever the case, they have a really tough time not eating a Neko-rig. So here's the program, and you know, wacky rigging and Neko-rigging is fairly straightforward, you know, pretty simple. But what I've got here, it will save you so many worms, you will not believe it. And all it is, it's a really simple thing. It's called a crossover ring. So, you gotta figure the right size. They come in 5 sizes, of 4 through 8. 4 is for your smaller stuff, and pop it on your crossover pliers. You squeeze them, and it opens it up. Grab the tail of your worm, pull them through, and wherever you want that band, you release the pressure, slide it up, squeeze, there it is. So with that band right where I want it, grab the hook. It's the weedless Neko hook, and typically when you're Neko rigging, it's just in line, and if you wacky rig, you go across, right? So this crossover ring has 2 channels that crisscross. One goes right through parallel and one perpendicular. So you're not actually penetrating the worm at all. The plastic is just held by this band, which has enough width to get a good fit on the worm and not cut it. Like an O-ring is small, that small diameter will often cut your worm. One really interesting thing with Neko rigging that I have found is the placement of that ring in your hook. You know, I see a lot of professional fishermen put their hook down here. But when you put your band further away from the weight, about like this, so 1/3 of it is this way, 2/3 towards the weight, when you pop this, instead of it falling down straight, it glides backwards. It's like a tail weighted deal, and as a fish is looking at it, maybe follows it as you pop, it slides back at the fish. And I know for a fact that triggers a ton of bites. So that's my personal preference and how I rig that Neko rig. But however you do it, these bands will save you a ton of worms and a ton of weights, and you'll just be fishing a lot more rather than re-rigging and putting weights and new worms and this and that. So it's a really cool system. It's really innovative and just helps you catch more fish. Oh, there's one. There he is. Oh, a little tiny one. Bite's a bite. It's a good sign. There we go. Obviously small worm, Neko rig. It catches small fish, but it absolutely catches big ones too, and especially middle of the day, pressured fish, tough bite, whatever the, you know, what's going on. Sometimes you get them to react with big heavy baits or your typical Texas rigs, jigs, and things like that. And the Neko rig, I mean, ultimately it's just a finesse worm in deeper water. And that kind of profile is tough for a bass to pass up. But it's cool because when you rig it on a weedless Neko hook like this, you can fish it out on the outside of some grass. You can throw it up in some of these bushes. It's a really versatile rig when it is weedless. The more versatile a bait is, the bigger of a fan I am of it, just because it's just kind of fun to just kind of go fishing, you know? Go down the bank, fish deep, fish shallow, just catch fish, set the hook. So, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh. Oh. That's a little bit better one. Oh yeah. Take him all day long. Oop. Oh, golly, they're strong, man. Here we go. How many times have you seen your fish jump with your Neko-rig and then your worm goes way over there? This thing's jumped a couple times and the worm is right there. Oh, still got another one in him. Look at that. The Neko hook, right in the top of the mouth, right where you want it. And the weighted, nail-weighted worm is still attached. That is a big deal. That's really cool. It works. So, nice fish. When the fish seem to be getting a little beat up, maybe you've gone through, caught a bunch, like I was saying I have in this area, I've been catching a bunch of fish. Downsize and switch to that Neko. It's a great, great lure. And these bands, like I said, will just keep you fishing. You will do way less rigging, run through way less worms, way less weights. It's just more enjoyable, honestly. You catch more fish. So, the way that I've found it seems to work, you know, you let it kind of fall on a slack line, let it do its thing, and it's going to kind of glide at an angle away. And as my line, you know, you can tell when your line goes slack that the worm has hit the bottom. When it has, just kind of reel up to it and just kind of pop, 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 and that worm kind of goes, and like I said, it'll glide back towards the fish, assuming there's one following it. With a hook set, with this rig, with this Neko hook, it's not a thick wire hook. You don't need to make an aggressive hook set like you would with a heavy-duty wide gap hook or something like that. So it's almost more of just a reel set, and that hook finds its way right in the top of their mouth and pins them, and you lose very, very few fish. It's almost unheard of. So that's kind of the overall technique. And most times when I'm fishing a Neko rig, it's on a spinning rod. This is like a 7-foot spinning rod with 10-pound braid, roughly, to a fluorocarbon leader. I think this is 8-pound leader I have on today, but you know, 6 potentially if they're really fussy. 8's pretty average. You could go up to 10 or 12 depending on what kind of cover you're around, or if you're skipping docks and you're gonna hit more stuff, heavier line will help. But the lighter your line, the more natural your worm is, so keep that in mind. You try to use about the lightest line you can get away with, but you also don't want to break off all your fish. Oop, there's a fish. Boy, he's not all that big, but he's strong. Strong fish. It is summertime, water is warm, 80 degrees. These fish are fired up. Oh, there we go. It's just nice to have such confidence in your program with that hook. Look at that, I mean, just, they're all pegged right in the nose. Worm's still good. Nice little fish. You know, this program works virtually year-round. Fish are just going to eat this type of a bait, a worm. Neko-rig year-round, but this, with being summertime, the fish are getting in those. They're kind of schooled up. They're past the post-spawn. They're really feeding up. They're looking healthy. They're getting chubby. And when they are grouped up, you go through them. And I've kind of moved away a little bit from that area, but I really beat on them pretty good with a Tokyo rig, a Texas rig, and a crankbait. And once that whole bite kind of died down, you get a few more bites with this kind of the cleanup rig with the Neko. It's just a staple summertime technique. And it's cool when it's a technique that you're gonna have on the deck of your boat virtually year round. Whether you're fishing from a pier or a dock or the bank, it's a really easy way to catch fish, and it's very, very effective. Basically, never go fishing without a Neko rig.